cow.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Nightcap. Levi Stevenson, joined once again by Matthias Schwarzkopf, Aiden White, and this guy that just apparently doesn't want to go away, Josh Lenz.
My name is Jay,
I'm glad you're finally getting into it.
Yeah, really embracing it.
At some point, you're just gonna have to embrace it and just go with it, man.
I was all in on it. The guys loved it.
Yeah.
I'm back, baby.
Josh is back.
I felt like I was like getting the call up to the 53-man roster or something, you know? Had to talk to my agent real quick, and
it was the shittiest 53-man roster on this side of the Mississippi.
More than likely, we probably told your agent to piss off.
Good stuff.
So today, oh my God! Today, talking draft stuff. We'll talk a little bit about the Cyclone that did get drafted. A couple of the ones that have signed for undrafted free agents, and then we're going to go through and kind of do our own little mock draft of the 2022 Cyclones that may leave or will, or we think will or may leave. Kind of give our thoughts on where we think they might land. Before we get into all that, we should say thank you to our sponsors over at Estas Bar and Grill in Ames. Been with us for a long time. Been really, really awesome sponsors. They've helped us out with all of our podcasts. They brought food to our golf outing a couple of years ago, which hopefully we can get back to doing that some sooner rather than later. And they've been with us for a long time. They've always got their Taco Tuesday specials. They've got FAC, like their Taco Tuesday specials are crazy. They've still got their taco buffet, or not really, all you can eat tacos from 11 to 3 every single day for $8. And then they got their Taco Tuesday shots or Taco Tuesday specials, which is $1.17 tacos from 4 to midnight. Lots of great drink deals. And I'm still waiting for confirmation if this is real, but they earlier tweeted about having an Estas taco truck at some point.
That'd be awesome
in the near future. So if that's real, oh boy,
we got a new tailgating vehicle then.
Oh boy,
you think they'll
let me in on that? Get me in on that.
Yeah. So we might have to take advantage of that at some point. But anyway, so thank you once again to our sponsors over at Estas Bar and Grill and Ames. Head on over there if you're looking for some good tacos or any other. They've got good burgers and tots and all sorts of good stuff too, or a nice cold beverage. But Nathan Brown coming in with the heater on the comment already. That ought to makes T-Pain sound normal. Later, Josh.
Yeah, I think that was on Kyle Lichtenberg's MacBook, and I think we just had like the little, talking into the old iPod, headset or whatever, the microphone. That's what we use. So we weren't in the studio.
Yeah.
So not that it would have sounded better if we were in the studio either.
For the time and the resources available, the production value on that song is pretty solid, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we're gonna get into. Let's talk a little bit about this past draft that we just had. Obviously, the only Cyclone drafted, but I think higher than pretty much everybody thought. Kene Nwangwu going in the 4th round of the Minnesota Vikings. What'd you guys think of all that?
Well, he's clearly the best running back on the entire Vikings roster now.
Human rocket ship.
I mean,
that
makes him the second best running back in the NFC North.
to his former teammate, yes.
I think it was huge for him to be able to kind of show out at Pro Day. A lot of people go back and forth on whether the Pro Day really, how valuable that is. But for guys like him that didn't, get a lot of opportunities during the year to go out and showcase his speed, and he did some kick returns and stuff like that, and so that definitely helped. But to be able to go out on Pro Day and put a good number up and have a good Pro Day, and really increase his draft stock really helps. So happy for him.
Being able to put a 4.28 up on some NFL Scout stopwatches is never going to hurt you, for sure.
Not at all.
And I think the thing too is that to remember is that he's not. I don't know. Maybe they have it in mind, or just see what happens with it. But I don't think they're not necessarily drafting Kene to be a running back. Dalvin Cook is still Dalvin Cook. I mean, he's not. He's not. I wouldn't. I mean, if he gets a carry during the regular season, I'd be shocked. Or not shocked, but not more. No more than a couple anyway. It's just like his garbage time or spell carries or something like that. I mean, they're bringing him in to be a returner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even look at the way the NFL is set up right now. I mean, look at how many two backs scenarios that you have where you have your main back that gets the majority of the carries, majority of the downs, and then, they need a breather too. And so, just from my time being in the league, you see it all the time. Guys like Kene can come in and, do a good job on special teams and earn reps and earn the trust of the team to get out there and get a few snaps. And then, what happens from there, you don't know, but he's gonna get some looks in practice, and if he can earn that trust, it could translate into some downs and maybe some passing downs or stuff like that, or two back scenarios.
Sure.
But yeah, to your point, I mean, he's gonna be a return guy. He's gonna be a special teams guy, and to get drafted in the 4th round and be that as that, I mean, you can't ask for much more.
I mean, that's he hit the absolute best case scenario for them, for a guy that had such little tape of him actually running the football in college, to essentially be, he got the Devin Hester treatment. Basically, he got drafted as a return dude, which is pretty incredible. And I don't know what round Devin Hester got taken in, but
second, I believe.
Second round. Okay, so I mean, he's obviously not Devin Hester, but he's
not yet.
But yeah, but the thing about it too, though, is that the NFL offenses especially are a lot more creative now. Now, will the Vikings do this? I don't know, because they don't. But the way to me, like Kene would be awesome in a role a lot like Deebo Samuel is used with the 49ers, where they have him on end arounds, where they use him in speed packages, basically end arounds and some sort of option plays here. There's read options, whatever it is, things like that here and there. Where they can really just get him on the edge and utilize his speed.
This Vikings coaching staff is not that far away, or not that far from using Cordell Patterson. So they've done it before.
Yeah. I think a big thing too is just to show that he can catch the ball and maybe move out into a slot position and show value out there. Because if he can do that, then if
he can show his hands, then I think even someone put it in the comments where he can be Alvin Kamara. He can be that role. He's just certainly fast enough to do it. Now, we saw it was in 2019, I think, at the West Virginia game. At West Virginia, he had some struggles catching, dropped a couple passes that they actually ended up as interceptions. So, and he didn't really have much of hardly anything for pass catching opportunities last season, just because they just wasn't how the offense is built. But
who's the back that played for Green Bay this year? Smaller back, ended up getting some.
Aaron Jones.
No.
Or you like a backup?
Yeah, when Aaron was hurt, he got in. I mean, real small back. He was so when I was in Houston, he was drafted in like the 2nd or 3rd round. But he kind of reminds me of Kene a little bit. And
I can't think of the guy.
They've got
Jamal Williams.
No.
AJ Dillon, Kylan Hill, Dexter Williams, Mike Weber. That's who's on the roster right now, anyways.
I'll find it. But anyway, so he was kind of a similar back, a little bit smaller back, but ended up turning into a return guy, did all kick returns, and then even got him back there. I mean, I don't think he returned punts in college, but they got him back there and just was like, hey, you're fast, so we're going to put you back there, teach you how to catch the ball, and that's going to be your role. But
yeah, and it's kind of funny though, but because Kene is taller than you think he is. He's like 6'1" as a running back. He's actually not that short. But I mean, he's obviously got the speed. You get him in space, he can do whatever he wants.
He's probably not going to be returning many kicks in the dome, though.
No, they're going to go out. They're going to go into the end zone. They're all going to be touchbacks. But he's got. They brought him in for a reason. I mean, they're fully aware that kick returns are almost non-existent in the NFL anymore because they've basically ruled them out. Made them almost not. They're just not even remotely worth it now with the rule changes.
Tyler Ervin is who I was thinking of.
I have never heard of him in my life.
Yeah,
Tyler Ervin.
Yeah, he got.
He played for the Packers.
Backup.
I completely ignored him.
Yeah, he actually got some reps when Aaron Jones was hurt.
Mm-hmm. But you know, either way, couldn't be more excited for the guy. I mean, I think it was a good decision to leave because obviously his number one weapon is speed, and he's not going to have that forever. So while he's still got it, you know, definitely leave while you're kind of at the peak of your powers. Makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
He got drafted way higher than I think. I don't know if he even thought he would go that high. Maybe he did.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm sure he is a confident guy and he has confidence in himself. But you know, I certainly was like, oh, he might get taken in the 7th round. Someone just takes a flyer on him, just see what happens, see what they can do with that speed. But Minnesota, I mean, 4th round is high enough for they have a plan for him. They're going to do something with him.
The thing is, though,
for Kirk Cousins. Ship him out. Kene at QB.
The Vikings had so many second to 5th round picks. It's hard to even tell. Like they have a long draft class. So typically on a normal, if you had to pick every round, if they took him in the 4th round, we're gonna do something with this dude. But I mean, probably still are, obviously, because he. It'd
have been interesting. It'd have been interesting to see where, you know, if he wouldn't have gotten selected by the Vikings, where he would have ended up, right? Like if they had a bunch of picks and they're like, we like this guy.
Did anybody else have him that high up on their draft board?
Right. Yeah. It would have been interesting, but
they got him.
He got that 4th round money. So
there's a lot of Cyclone fans that are also Viking fans that are probably really excited about it.
Yeah.
So we got a Cyclone on every NFC North team except for the Lions, which thank God.
I thought Seabortel isn't there anymore.
Oh no.
No, he's on the Rams now. He's on the Rams.
Wait, is he?
Or he was on the Rams. I'm not sure.
He's on. I think he's on the Lions.
He is now. Well, he started on the Lions, but I think he went to the Rams. I think. Maybe check on that. But I think
I am looking right.
He was with the Lions right away, and then I'm
sure a high-end player like that was probably.
Yeah, he is on. He is confirmed. It is on the Rams.
Okay, because I mean, assuming he was part of the Jared Goff trade. I think. It was Jared
100%. He's what got Stafford to LA.
He's what got Stafford to LA.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
Yeah. So, but you know, it's funny though because there'll be enough Iowa State players coming out next year. There might be a Cyclone on the Lions now going into next year. So. Who knows what what that's going to be.
Or one out for our homie that lands there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Isn't it crazy though, just to think about, you look at a guy like Allen Lazard and so many others that have, you know, produced so much more at Iowa State and not gotten drafted. And then
Allen Lazard not getting drafted is still one of the most puzzling things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I saw a lot of Okie State fans this last weekend. We're talking about Tylan Wallace, and they almost fell in a similar situation, which once again I didn't quite understand. But
yeah.
But how about Kene though, getting drafted ahead of Chuba Hubbard?
That is awesome.
Kene our backup running back got drafted before both Chuba Hubbard and Tylan Wallace.
It's just the nuts, like Josh was probably heading into. It's just kind of crazy to think about that. Kene Nwangwu was drafted in the 4th round. Not even like Allen Lazard, not even drafted. David Montgomery drafted in the 3rd round.
Right.
Like, 2 guys that were paving the way for Iowa State football for what it is. Weird, and way more production.
And Kene got picked as high as he did, probably at least part of it, mostly because of his pro day numbers, whatever. Yeah, which is totally fine if that's how you get there. Whatever. David didn't put up any remarkable pro day. I mean, he was fine. Wasn't like didn't blow.
He just did David Montgomery thing.
His tape, his tape. David got David into the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
How did Allen Lazard's tape not get him drafted? It just blows my mind.
Nuts.
It's I think it's the weird thing about NFL and running backs, right? So they're getting drafted later, but there's so many NFL drafts wide receivers on what if? What could this guy do if we do this? Or would he look good in this offense? Or like, it's all what ifs. Like, it's not based on any production, I think.
Right.
Because
the whole thing with
they always
Allen,
say every year, though, it's like wide receiver depth in the draft is extensively long. Just because teams are just picking guys that, he's fast, sort of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll try it.
Another thing is speed. I mean, all those scouts are looking at speed. Like NFL is speed. I mean, once you get there, it's everybody's fast. But 4.28 is really fast. That's right. Cooking. So it's like it's that everybody's like that 4.4 to 4. For as far as skill guys, is like that 4.4 to 4.6 range. And if you're 4.2, I mean, that sets you way up here, right? Yes. And so, like you said, it's more on potential. They're looking and say, hey, he was behind a really good running back that's going to get drafted next year and is one of the best backs in the country. Sure. So it's not like he wasn't playing because he wasn't good. He just had somebody in front of him that was really good. Really? So, you have that speed plus the potential. And they're willing to take a chance on him. 4th round chance, I guess.
It's kind of similar. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'd love to be friends with that scout, or get scouted by him, because he did a hell of a sell job on that. Because, like I said, not taking anything away from Kene, but
no, I mean
it is what it is.
Maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe they found out that everybody had Kene way up on their board. Maybe one that we'll never know, but. Maybe they found out that a bunch of other teams wanted him. Yeah. And if you wanted to get him, you're going to have to pick him now. Because, otherwise, that almost has to be the case. Because if not, it's a terrible draft pick, because they probably could have let him slide a couple rounds. Now, good for Kene that he got picked there.
Yeah, 100%.
From the Viking standpoints,
how many screens are they going to run with Kene and Kirk Cousins overthrows him? All of them, or less than?
They'll just say a little shovel pass forward, where he doesn't hand it off. He gets a catch. Be a completion.
Yeah. That's how they're going to get the NFL pop pass.
That's how they're going to. That's how they're going to inflate Kirk Cousins' completion percentages. They're just going to chuck it forward. He's going to unrated shovel pass up to Kene.
Outrun everybody.
Yep. Just let him loose. So. After Kene, though, we had 4 Cyclones get signed by teams after the draft as undrafted free agents. Dylan Sainer going to the Saints, Jaquan Bailey to the Eagles, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we had Lawrence White to the Buccaneers and Landon Akers to the Rams. Start off, we're looking at their guaranteed money, what they had on their UDFA deals. The really interesting one is Dylan Sainer got $120,000 guaranteed from the Saints.
I was going to ask if that was like a typo or a real thing, because
he got 120 guaranteed.
That's pretty unheard of as an undrafted free agent.
That tells you they're going to use him.
They're going to use him 100%.
For reference, I got a whopping $6,000 from the Bears as an undrafted. And the
goddamn McCaskey family cheap as hell.
I was going to say, and what happened to the Bears? They sucked.
yeah, exactly. And I think the highest offer was $10,000. And then if guys got like any more than that, like all the vets and everything would give you shit, because they're like, oh, undrafted, and like they would ask you, they'd be like, how much did you get? How much did you get? Like all this shit, because they're trying to feel you out too, and just be like, where'd you get, how much money did you get? Like, how much is the organization invested in you, type of deal?
Yeah, that's
so 120.
That's how much you can gauge crazy on how much the franchise is, like how much they want you there.
Yeah.
I mean, 120 for UDFA money is crazy money.
Every once in a while, there'll be ones that like it's not every year that you see like big money for those kind of guys, but there'll be one that like pops up every once in a while. Like Dylan Sainer's the one this year that they're like, oh shit, he's going to make the roster, or they expect you to make the roster.
Seriously,
it doesn't surprise me either, though. I mean, because him as a blocking tight end, blocking for Alvin Kamara, good night. Like,
do you guys know? Or I'm sure we can look it up, but like what do 7th round picks even get for a signing bonus? Like, I don't think it's that far off. I think it
It's
might
not
be
much.
even less.
Yeah, let me
It
look
could
it
be
up.
less.
Yeah, I guess it's all dependent, I would suppose, but
Because I feel like there was 6th and 7th round guys that got like 60 to 100.
yeah.
So the final pick of the 7th round is known as Mr. Irrelevant in league circuit. Okay, hold on. Let's see here.
So they make around over $600,000 for salary. I don't know what their signing bonus is, but
oh yeah, I mean, in theory, I would have, if I would have made the roster and played the whole season, then I would have made 500. So that's league minimum, but not. I'm talking signing bonus.
I'm not sure if they get a signing bonus that late in the draft.
I'm sure there's something.
There might be something, but like
because they'll tailor that with their roster, their contract to make it less of a cap hit.
Right. I'm trying to look.
Nathan says last year's for the last pick was $75K for signing bonus.
So Dylan Sander got like 5th round pick money.
Yeah. So 6th round, I just pulled it up here. 6th round, 160,000. 7th round, 88,000.
Yeah. So
he got more than a guy that got drafted in the 7th round. And if it works out for him, the way they structure like undrafted free agents, it could work out better for him because you get those drafted guys, the way their contract's structured,
they're already pre-structured.
Yeah, it's like this is what you get no matter what. Whereas some of those undrafted guys, there's so much more incentive that hey, if you make the roster and you get paid like per down as an undrafted free agent, so a lot of times when I didn't get drafted, my agent was like, hey, this is don't worry about it. Go somewhere, make the roster. Like sometimes it works out better and you can make more money as a rookie or, your first couple of years because you're not locked into that, that draft contract.
Right.
So, I mean, he's making out good right now.
As long as he shows up and he does what everybody is expecting him to do. I mean, I don't even know if they're really going to expect him to be a big threat as far as a pass.
For all
catcher.
we know, Sean Payton's going to line him up at quarterback next to James.
Yeah, no shit. He's going to
throw some freaking Taysom Hill package in there.
Sean Payton saw that pass to Chase Allen. He's like, "Oh my god, we've got our next."
There's going to be some weird thing that he makes the roster. There's going to be something weird, like just he's going to like run the ball. I don't know.
He's going to do something, but it's gonna be awesome.
Here's a question: Who did the Saints pick in their late round? Like who did they say we're gonna take this guy, but then we're gonna sign an undrafted free agent with a bigger signing bonus?
Yeah, I don't even know. I stopped paying attention
real quick.
I'm pulling it up right now. All right, so 7th round they took Kawan Baker, a receiver from South Alabama, with the 28th pick. They took Landon Young in the 6th round, then they took Kawan Baker, the receiver from South Alabama, with their 7th round selection.
Which was the 4th to last pick in the draft.
Yeah, 4th to last pick in the draft.
So he could essentially have a bigger signing bonus than the guy that got drafted in the 7th round, which is nuts.
That money says they're going to use him. They plan on using him. Good for 100%. Dylan, man. That's awesome.
He doesn't make the roster. I guess he got 120K. I guess whatever.
Yeah, he's set for a little bit for at least another year or something like that. He can just kind of do what he needs to do.
Yep.
But once you get all that, and the thing too is like, I mean, he can obviously catch the ball or whatever. But I would assume the Saints, they want him for his blocking. That's what they want him for. So, good for him making it basically as almost purely as a blocking tight end, which is unheard of in today's game.
Well, he's just athletic enough that he can do whatever they need.
Right, basically.
Whatever. Catch some red zone balls or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what the Saints tight end room is like anymore. Don't they have Jared Cook down there?
I
think but he's
there last year anyway.
He's getting
old as dirt. So
he's old and he's not. I think he's struggled.
So there's no tight end that really jumps off the screen in New Orleans that you're like, well, maybe he might sneak in there.
They've got.
Jared Cook is on the Chargers now.
Oh, well, there you go.
So Dylan Sanders, their starting tight end,
allegedly.
Well, wait. Where did Taysom Hill go?
He's quarterback, starter.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I guess. And they signed a UDFA last year. Josh Hill, Adam Troutman. I don't know. They've got a bunch of nobodies as tight ends.
He'll have opportunity to compete.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do some funky things as an undrafted free agent, I guess New Orleans is like one of those places. Sure,
might as well.
Like
I mean,
that,
otherwise, your job is to get in front of dudes that are trying to tackle Alvin Kamara. So
the place to do weird shit and like make a roster in random spots would be Green Bay, because they do it all the time. They pull guys out of the dumpster and they're like, yeah, he could play because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw you the ball. Allegedly this year, he's going to throw them the ball. And New England, they pull guys out of garbage cans all the time. And then
they just put people wherever.
Sean Payton is another one.
I remember a long time ago when they had Troy Brown play safety for a little while. That was weird. But he's got a chance. Jaquan Bailey I think he got 40,000 from the Eagles, so he's kind of there. He's gonna have to he's gonna have to earn his spot.
The Eagles were bad last year.
Eagles were bad, so he's got a shot. He's got to go out there and do his stuff. But he's got a shot. Then I believe Lawrence White got 5,000 from the Buccaneers. So,
he's there.
He's there. They're going to give him a shot. But
the thing with those guys is they just need to show they can show they can pick up the offense or defense, but then contribute on special teams. Like that's where all these undrafted guys are going to make their money, is on special teams. If they can ball out in special teams and say, I can tackle, I can run downfield and, do all the right things. That's if you're not a big name guy, high draft guy, that's where you make the roster.
Yeah. And our last guy, Landon Akers, didn't get a signing bonus. He's just going down to hang out with the Rams.
Landon Akers is like a 100% Sean McVay fit, because I just instantly when I saw that pop up that he was in the Rams, it just reminded Connor. Is it Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp, yeah.
Just like I just screamed Cooper Kupp to me. I'm like, yeah, that guy's gonna make the roster somehow. I don't know why.
Do you know? Did he get? Is he going down there as like a training camp guy, or is he going down? Like, did he get invited to the camp, or did he sign as a?
They made it sound like he was signed.
It sounded like he was on the camp. He just didn't have a signing bonus.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
so he's on the 90 man or whatever.
Yeah, as quickly as they did that Sunday night, it almost seems like he at least inked some sort of deal, whatever that may be. But
and maybe he's just going down there to get into an NFL camp, see what happens for the summer, then not worry about it after that.
I guarantee he probably just got into pro day and it's like, we'll see what happens. Like if I go to a camp, that's an experience I'll never remember or I'll forget, kind of thing. So
I'll never remember.
Maybe he won't remember. I don't know. Maybe because
I'll get hit so many times.
Yeah, maybe he's on a Visha bender, shows up in LA, plays a couple little football, and then forgets about it. Like
Landon's been playing enough special teams recently. Maybe he doesn't remember. I don't know.
Like that block punt against Baylor knocked a few brain cells loose, and he ain't gonna remember going to training camp.
Yeah. But good for him though. If anybody's got a shot to make it as a $0 as a zero signing bonus, undrafted, it's gonna be Landon Akers.
Brian, I have a theory on the Jaquan Bailey not getting drafted because he's a good Iowa State defensive end, but he doesn't jump out on tape to NFL scouts because he's Jaquan Bailey to me is almost stuck in the middle of an NFL defensive end or defensive lineman. He's big, he's not overly quick.
He's not freakishly huge though.
Yeah. When you look at a NFL pass rusher or they're quick off the ball, they can swim under you, overpower you. Jaquan Bailey just gets there, but he doesn't wow you.
He's kind of creative, but he doesn't dominate linemen. He's just good at beating them.
Yeah. Now Will McDonald, that guy screams NFL pass rusher because he just beats you. But Jaquan Bailey could either slim down, be quicker, and probably make the Eagles, or he could beef up and play interior defensive line and probably make the Eagles. So
how tall is he? What is it?
6'4".
6'4".
Yeah. So he's in that range. He could be either or. He just needs. Yeah. He probably just needs to slim down. It'd probably be the easiest.
The ESPN has him at 6'2", but yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to pick one or the other, basically.
Obviously, he knows how to get to the quarterback, right?
Yeah, he's got good instincts. He's got good tape.
It's just that NFL is looking for that guy as a pass rusher in that league. You know, when you're going against like guys like Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady who get the ball out so freaking quick that you have to be there quicker than Jaquan Bailey can get there.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing
that
too
being
is,
said,
yeah.
That being said, they're probably going to beef him up then, right? I mean, if you realistically can't get around the edge, then they're going to beef him up and say, "Hey, hold it down in the middle."
Right. You know, and the thing is that the NFL would rather take a raw athlete and teach him how to play than find someone that knows how to play, that his athletic ceiling is maybe not quite as high. Which, I mean, that's just the way the NFL works. It's the way the NBA works. The skill guys don't get as much love as the pure raw athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of how it works. And Jaquan's a really, really skilled guy, knows how to get past guys. He's just not like an athletically or a physically dominant player.
I think this is going to be the reality of the situation going forward for Iowa State football. As good as we have like gotten to the point where we are now, like guys that are really good here in Ames aren't necessarily going to translate well to the NFL. Obviously, we all want to see our favorite players get drafted, right? But it's never going to be the case.
And not necessarily even not play well in the NFL, but maybe not get drafted as high.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
the expectations for fans to be drafted, their favorite players to be drafted, is a lot higher than what NFL scouts see them to be.
The NFL drafts so much more on potential than they even do necessarily on stats or game tape or necessarily. I mean, they draft so much on athletic potential.
Like rounds 1 and 2, okay, they're going to look for guys that could start day one.
Right.
Rounds 3 through 4, 5, and probably maybe stretch a little bit into 6 are guys that can contribute either with additional reps, special teams, things like that, or rotational guys, and 7th rounder guys that are probably special teams too. So, and the undrafted guys like Josh was alluding to earlier. So, you know, is Jaquan Bailey going to contribute on special teams? Probably not. So
yeah,
he's got to pick a lane real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Lawrence White and Landon Akers, they've got to see what they can do. So do we have any more questions on those guys? Are you guys ready to move on to kind of our 2022 Cyclones?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Aiden's gonna be leading our discussion here, and we're gonna each will kind of go around the horn here a little bit, and then
fuck, wrong one. God damn it.
You had one job.
And that's our noise, not the other one.
Who's up, Aiden? Who's up first?
All right, so first up, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who revived Iowa State football, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy.
Did he really revive it, or?
I don't know. I'm just announcing it.
I thought you were gonna pick somebody totally different. I thought you were gonna pick Sean Foster or something like that. Since he's been here the whole time. Matthias, we'll have you start.
Well, I think we were all talking about this earlier this week, but Brock Purdy, obviously last year he was a fringe first-round quarterback in scouts' eyes. Obviously, he started off the season of 2020 very poorly.
Yep.
And so he's basically has fallen completely off probably, the top, like the NFL, draft, you'll have those tiers of quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this year was was Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Justin Fields. Those are their 4. And then there's the rest. I don't know who, next year is going to be Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell. Apparently Tyler Shuck is some guy that's allegedly going to be the number 1 overall pick next year.
The one that keeps randomly showing up is Malik Willis from Liberty.
So, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so Brock Purdy it's probably in that second tier right now. So you're probably looking at the 3 to 4 range. But a guy his comps right now would be what? Other than the arm strength would be he's small like Russell Wilson.
He plays a lot
runs
like
Russell Wilson.
He's kind of he is a lot like Russell Wilson.
He's like a poor man's Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So
basically.
He's 3, 4, 5 round range.
But even Russell Wilson wasn't known for having a crazy arm or anything like that.
Right.
I mean, he's
now, if Brock Purdy comes in this year, we're passing the ball more, which I highly doubt we will be because we got Breece Hall.
Right.
So if he's I don't know 20 to or let's say 10 per 10 touchdowns to like 2 interceptions ratio kind of thing, and then I don't know, maybe he's like top 10 Heisman ratings. He's probably going to get some looks, but I would really expect him in that 3 to 5 range. He's better than the guys that got drafted in the 3 to 5 range this year.
Yes. I think I thought we were talking about, it's like Brock Purdy could, depending on how the season goes, he could legitimately be anywhere from the 2nd round to the 6th round. Anywhere. He could go anywhere.
Yeah.
His basically he's a little bit of a known commodity at this point, where we know he's accurate, he's good, he's mobile, he's a fiery competitor, he's got all the intangibles you can want, he's a great locker room guy, he's accurate. The known flaws are his arm is fine, not great, not anything exceptional, but the way I would describe his arm is good enough. That's what it is. His arm is good enough, not like it's not exceptional. And sometimes he can get a little bit too aggressive. He can try to fit weird throws, or and can be a little bit turnover prone at times. But a lot of those, at least the turnover prone thing, especially, can be corrected. That can be corrected this season. It can be corrected in the NFL. It can a lot of those things can be fixed. Now the arm strength kind of can be improved a little bit anyways, and maybe it will be with Dave Andrews this offseason. But I think like Matthias said, if we see him really cut down on the turnovers, we see him deliver some good deep shots, maybe to Xavier Hutchinson or Tariq Milton or whoever. He could realistically climb back up into that 2nd round, depending on what the quarterback situation looks like with the rest of the class and who needs one. So like that, maybe in the very, very back end of the 1st round. I guess quarterbacks usually don't go in the back end of the 1st round because
he's gotta hit the deep ball.
He's got to hit the deep ball, and he's got to limit his turnovers. If he can do both of those, he can climb into the 2nd round. I don't have any doubt about that. But I think likely landing spot, if I had to just put money on one round right now, I'd probably say he's probably somewhere late 3rd, early 4th round right now, if I had to take a guess at it.
Take another guess really quick. Okay, Brock Purdy, NFL team fit and quickest path to starting.
Quickest path to start, best NFL team fit. In my mind, depending on what they do this year and depending on how everything shakes out, the Saints would probably be a really good fit for him. Like a really good fit for him, for Brock. Another team could be, depending on how Tua does, the Dolphins could be an all right fit. I don't know if they'll bail on Tua that fast for Brock.
Yeah, I think they're committed to.
I think they're committed to Tua for a little while. The Lions, depending if Jared Goff sucks this year, maybe the Lions. Who knows?
Yeah, Lions came to mind. Another one that comes to mind too is that you said fiery, competitive, compared him to Russell Wilson. Why not Seattle, right?
Hey, if Russell wants out of Seattle,
not even if he doesn't, let him develop under Russell. They get him, like you said,
Russell Wilson will be 33 by the time he shows up.
Let Brock sit under Russell Wilson and learn from a guy who basically plays identically to him.
Yeah. Go out there. Pete Carroll can, like you said, he loves fiery, competitive guys. It's a very competitive practice environment, and
he'd be a great fit there.
Yep.
And the great part about that fit too, though, is Brock Purdy plays like Russell Wilson does now. He doesn't play like young Russell Wilson wasn't really a great deep ball thrower, and he ran around quite a bit. But now he runs when he needs to, but otherwise, a good pocket quarterback that's accurate. So Brock plays like Russell Wilson does right now. Which
Nathan says Pittsburgh, and I guarantee Pittsburgh's not going to be in line to get the top tier quarterbacks next year in the draft. So that could be a landing spot for Brock Purdy. Sorry,
it could be a good second. It could be a good 2nd round fit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh. Oh, I'd hate to see him in black and gold. God, that would suck so much.
Oh yeah, get out of here, Nathan.
Oh yeah, I don't want him on the Steelers. Fuck that. I don't even care. I don't want him on the Steelers.
I didn't ever really think about that.
I ain't even trying to.
I could live with the black and gold of Pittsburgh. At least we know he's going to have a good head coach.
The black and gold of Pittsburgh, I could stomach at least.
It's not that different.
It's the same. It's literally the same. That was the point. Josh, what do you think about Brock?
You know what? I mean, you guys have both touched on it. It's so variable. He could go. It all depends on how he does this year. You know, how he carries himself when we win. How, you know, when we lose. You know, how he distributes the ball. Does he turn it over? How well Iowa State does this year. I feel like that is going to play a big factor as well. And, you know, if they do really well, like you said, second round, third round. If he doesn't, I'm saying anywhere from, you know, maybe 5 or 6. But there's just so much that goes into it. You know, look at before this season, like you said, he was, considered one of the best and, you know, high draft prospects. And then, you know, he didn't have a terrible season, but he just didn't have a super stellar season. And then he just kind of fell off the radar a little bit. But, you know, it just shows how competitive it is for quarterbacks. And, you know, if you're going to be a franchise quarterback, or if an organization's going to invest in you and, you know, make you one of their quarterbacks, then you got to do all the right things all the time. And so if he does all those, if he doesn't have turnovers, if he puts up good numbers and does all the right things, I think even then, I think probably a second round guy. And then if he has a season that's still good, but just not super great, I think probably 4th or 5th.
You just look at the Trey Lance. I'll use him as an example. Like even all 4 of these guys that, you know, the Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, that got drafted in that top tier quarterback range. They didn't turn the ball over. Like Trey Lance literally did not throw an interception.
Over once. He threw one interception in his entire college career.
And that was in this year, COVID year, one game.
One-off game. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like during his freshman season at North Dakota State as a quarterback, he didn't throw a single interception.
Yeah.
Like Mac Jones didn't turn over the ball. Trevor Lawrence didn't turn over the ball. I mean, like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields both had a couple interceptions, whatever, but they're playing high level games all the time.
Well, and they also got a lot of volume too. I mean, those guys threw the ball.
Right. So the odds of them throwing interceptions is going to happen. So like those 4 guys did not turn the ball over.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock Purdy, like three interceptions in this game right now that's playing right now. Like that, no.
If you get the Brock Purdy that we saw from the second half of the Baylor game through the end of the season, if you get that Brock Purdy for an entire season, he's a 2nd round pick. If you get middle of the season there where he's fine, he's winning games, but he's not super efficient, he's a 3rd, 4th round pick. Mm-hmm. If you get early season Brock Purdy, he's late 5th, 6th.
Yeah. And it's not to say that he couldn't even, you know, creep into the 1st round. I mean, if the right team got desperate, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at like the thing with the first round though is that the teams that are the back end of that first round are like the playoff teams, the Super Bowl teams, stuff like that. They're not really looking for quarterbacks, so quarterbacks don't generally go.
Rodgers.
Well, he fell like that. That's such an outlier that it's like a legendary fall in the draft or whatever. I mean, generally speaking, quarterbacks don't go.
No. I'm speaking towards of like the Packers selecting Jordan.
Did we lose the stream somehow? I have people in the comments saying RIP the stream.
I'm looking right now. Stream unavailable, suspended for policy violations. Wonder if it's because we're playing the video.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, we'll just remove that.
Well, let's just end the broadcast here real quick.
Facebook's probably still going. Yeah, Facebook's still going.
Facebook's still going? Okay. Yep. So Facebook's still going.
Come on, Aiden. What are you doing?
My bad. Bad producer.
Damn it, Aiden. All right. So we're just gonna see what happens here.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't like the idea of Brock Purdy signing
so
the 5th round.
We're gonna comment on the YouTube chat here 1 second. Say,
can you send the link in the Facebook link? Can you just put it in the comments?
Yeah, let me put it back. Let me put that in there. Aiden was playing so many highlights in the background.
No, that was definitely me.
YouTube stopped it. YouTube stopped it in the middle of the stream. He's like, "You need to stay." He gave us a speeding. They gave us a speeding ticket. Is what happened.
Yeah. We need to slow our roll. Brock Purdy slander will not be tolerated. YouTube creation violation.
All right, I'm copying the link. I'm putting it in Facebook. There's the link for YouTube people that can't hear me right now.
Hey, we're back on YouTube. How about that? Look at that.
Are we back on YouTube?
We're back.
Like we never left.
We're back on YouTube. All right, here we go.
We're back.
I guess we can't talk about Brock Purdy anymore, so Breece Hall is up.
Let's leave Breece Hall for later since he's the really interesting one. Who's after who's next up?
That's what YouTube's saying to us right now.
Yeah. YouTube just put us in the gulag, but we got out. We got out of the gulag.
Ridiculous.
All right. So the guy who probably has the best chance to get drafted high, in my opinion, Charlie Kolar.
Okay. Charlie Kolar. You got to play. I think you got to play the song before. Don't you play the jingle before the name?
No.
Not in this draft.
This is not your draft.
This is not.
You let Aiden and I run this draft because you didn't even know what a draft was 10 minutes ago.
Okay, so here I want to clarify this publicly.
No.
These two.
You don't get a chance.
They said they wanted a mock draft, so I'm thinking in my head is like, oh, we're gonna draft some Iowa State players for maybe a 7-on-7 team or something.
Literally,
like
the
that.
NFL draft just ended like a day ago, and you're thinking about.
I watched like 4 picks in the first round.
Not our problem.
I watched the first 10 picks in the first round and didn't watch the entire rest of the draft.
Here, we don't need excuses. We need you to be better.
I'm just.
Better.
It's a fair misunderstanding.
Stop.
Okay.
All right, Charlie.
You know what? Okay, Charlie Kolar. Josh, you're up.
Charlie, I think he's a first or second round guy. I think
Come on.
there's not a lot of tight ends that are his size, can block and catch the ball, and his hands are, one of the best.
Yeah.
And so I think if he has a good season and puts up numbers in film like he did last year, I think he's a first or second round guy. I'm probably going to lean more towards second round just because Iowa State's history. Like, it's one of those things, like, you could have a guy that's amazing, but on principle, you're going to go later than you probably should. So with that being said, I'll probably lean second round.
All right. So like you said, Charlie's a big guy, can block, runs good routes, soft hands, great locker room guy. That's one of the things about the Iowa State guys too, is pretty much everybody that's come out is a good locker room guy. But the problem here though is he's not a remarkable athlete. He's not like super fast or anything like that.
But there's been successful tight ends in the NFL.
No doubt.
Are not,
But Kyle Pitts just got drafted 4th overall.
Kyle Pitts is a receiver.
He was also the only tight end drafted in the first round.
Right. But he's going to dominate next year. He's going to absolutely dominate. So people are going to look at him. They're going to look at what's his name from the Raiders?
Darren
Waller.
Yes, Darren Waller. They're going to look at Darren Waller, Travis Kelce. They're going to look at these guys that can really run, and they're going to say, damn, I want a fast tight end.
Here's the thing. It's going to come down to picks also. Where these teams pick?
Yeah,
because
100%.
The Chiefs, they're a passing offense.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they try to go for
Oakland,
Charlie as an heir apparent to Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
that's certainly possible.
But if you get like a true pro style offense that is looking for like a true tight end that can block and can go downfield and catch the ball when you need them to, it's gonna be more about a fit and who needs him more.
But who runs that anymore?
Patriots.
Not really. I mean, kind of, but not really.
Packers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the Packers would probably be a schematic fit.
Tight end.
That could be a landing spot. That's a receiving threat for Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be on the Packers in about 20 minutes anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But whatever. I mean, either way, they need a pass catcher.
And the Packers, they do have a kind of a history of having tight ends that are just blockers. Absolutely. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw to tight ends very often.
Mercedes Lewis is a good example of that.
Yeah. So I think it's going to come down to more of a fit and, who has the pick and who wants to take him and who needs that position to fit their offense as opposed to what is his potential, They're not going to – nobody's going to take him because of his athleticism, like you said. No knock on him, but it's just he's not going to outrun anybody and, runs great routes, has great hands, can catch the ball over people. But like you said, he's not a Waller. He's not a Kelsey. But I think it's going to come down to more of a fit.
Sure. I think that's all a pretty fair evaluation. I think, like I said, he's not an exceptional athlete, but he does everything else well. The Bears, it's not a bad fit. Not a bad fit at all.
Hey, that is Bears don't have a first round pick, but they got a second round pick next year.
And if he slides to the second round,
and Jimmy Graham is gone after next year. What will the Bears need? Another tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
give me that Kohler magic to Justin Fields to Charlie Kohler with
Dave Montgomery in the back. Yeah.
And Brock Purdy drafted in the fourth round to play wide receiver.
So I think Charlie, if he has an incredible season and just the right team is in the right end of the back end of that first round, and they really need it like the Packers, or maybe the Bears trade up to the back end of the first round or something like that. Maybe I think he's probably more likely in the second round, and if his pro day numbers come out to be pretty average, maybe even early third round. Now third round would be a pretty good pickup. I think that'd be a steal for Charlie. I just because I don't know. I just like Josh says, I don't have a lot of faith in NFL guys taking an Iowa State player in the first round just out of principle. So I'm going to say second.
The same thing went for Northwestern, and they had 3 guys drafted in the first round this year, something like that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Those guys, that offensive tackle for Northwestern's a freaking freak.
He's good. Yeah, he's really good. I'm gonna say late second, early third for Charlie, with the possibility of being pleasantly surprised with the back end of the first round.
I got second and third as well. I don't really have any other extra analysis to add to that. I just think he kind of fits into that mold of second, third round. Just because if you kind of look back at draft trends over the last couple of years, tight ends seem to be going less and less in the first round. So second, third round seem to be the hot spot for tight ends. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is kind of a one-off because he can both, he plays like a wide receiver, but he can also play tight end. So, he's going to go high and he's going to do well in the NFL, but that's not to say Charlie Kohler can't do well in the NFL either. So, yeah, second, third round, Charlie Kohler, Chuck, get him the ball.
All right, we'll stay in the tight end room, and we got Chase Allen up next.
Chase Allen.
Undrafted.
Chase Allen is an interesting one because I think he's a better athlete than Charlie Kohler. I think he's going to test better. I think he's probably a better blocker than Charlie. And in my opinion, if he gets the opportunities to actually be a receiver, I think he will prove to be just about every bit as good a receiver as Charlie. So I think depending on what his film looks like this year, and depending on what his testing numbers look like, there's a very real chance that Chase Allen goes much higher than we think. I think there's a chance he goes undrafted. I think there's a chance he goes late, 5th, 6th, 7th round. But if he's got, like I said, if he's got good tape, good blocking tape, and he gets more opportunities this year to catch some passes. I mean, he's proven he's a good route runner. He's got good hands. And he's like I said, I think he's a better athlete than Charlie. If he's got good tape and he has good testing numbers, I don't see any reason he can't go somewhere in the third round, especially to a team that's looking for a good flexible tight end that they can do a lot of different things. Chase Allen's your guy. He genuinely may be more flexible than Charlie. He's not. He maybe isn't more as polished. He may not have quite as good a hands as Charlie. Maybe as polished of a tight end as a route runner as Charlie is. but he's still good. He's still plenty good. He can be coached on a lot of those route running things. If a team wants to use him as their primary receiver, as their primary receiving tight end, they can coach him up and really fine tune that stuff. And there's no reason that he can't be a really, really functional tight end in the NFL for a team that wants to utilize his flexibility. I think realistically, I think he's probably maybe a fourth or fifth round guy. He's probably, like, if I was going to put money down, probably a fourth or a fifth round guy. Probably maybe fifth round, I would say. But I maintain I've always just been higher on Chase Allen than other people, but I really think that he's got the athletic ability. I think he's got the tape and the skill level to be a guy that goes in the third round.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to ultimately come down to how well he does this year. And, with Kohler, and, Kohler's obviously going to be our main target at tight end. And if he can put some tape out there, I think he has an opportunity to get drafted, just because the way the NFL is going. But on the flip side of that, there's a lot of schools that also have tight ends that are in similar roles that are tight ends / receivers. So he's going to have to stand out from those guys. And it could be a scenario where they look at him and say, maybe he's a good tight end / receiver. If he has good blocking, maybe that sets him apart. But if there's a lot of guys out there that are kind of the similar situation, that they're kind of that flex where, they block a little bit, but then for the most part, they're spread out. It could be a scenario where they say, let's just take a chance on him as an undrafted guy. There's just so much up in the air that, I think he's going to have to put a lot of stuff on film and have a good year to get drafted. Like I said, not saying that to knock him or his skill or anything, but there's just so much that goes into it when these teams are looking at it. And I think he could get drafted. And if he has a good season, I think 6th or 7th round. But if he has an average season and, puts up some good numbers, a team will take a chance on him as an undrafted guy. And maybe it's a scenario where he's getting 120,000 for a signing bonus, and they really like him. But I think he's got to put good film out there, have a good pro day, and things got to kind of fall in place for him as far as other tight ends that are similar to him.
Yeah, I'm in that boat as well. I will willing to bet he's going to go undrafted. I just don't. Yeah, there's a difference between so he's like a role. He's a role player in our offense, right? He has this role. He does this thing. Kene and Nwangwu obviously was a role player as well, but he's got the speed, and obviously the NFL was looking at that. But Chase Allen doesn't have like speed, amazing attribute that makes him jump out as a tight end, other than size. And plenty of tight ends that are coming in to the NFL draft has size. So I'm willing to bet freaking mortgage on a undrafted in this rate. Just not like you said, Josh. Not a knock on him by any means. It's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, as a former player, like talking about guys projected and being like, well, are they going to get drafted or are they going to be undrafted? Like, I was undrafted, so I get it. Like, going into my senior year, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a great year. I'm going to get drafted. Like, it's, whatever. But it's just the reality of it. It's just not that easy.
Right.
I've seen and I've played with guys that have had amazing seasons, and like Alan Lazard. I mean, if we were sitting here having this conversation before Alan's senior year and trying to figure out projections, are we saying he goes undrafted? No. So it's not a knock on these guys when we're saying this stuff. It's just, looking at it from the business side of things, and, should they be drafted in this, 6th, 7th round, 1st, 2nd, whatever. Yeah. But does it happen? It's hard to get drafted. I mean, it is very hard to get drafted. So, it's just interesting, to kind of put these projections out there and and kind of talk about it. But like I said, they're all great players, and they all should get drafted. But it's just it's a business side of it.
I see. Where my Chase Allen my upside of Chase Allen is that if Charlie had left and gone to the NFL this year, and Chase Allen was the primary pass catcher this coming season, and he got Charlie's volume of catches, I think we would
100%.
see that he's every bit as that. I think we would see a tight end that's every bit as good a pass catcher as Charlie. I really believe that. And I think that's something that will show up in a pro day when someone's throwing him routes, when he's getting a chance to really catch the ball, when he's getting a chance to run routes in front of scouts, when he gets a chance to catch balls from quarterbacks and really get a chance to show off his pass catching abilities. That's where I think Chase Allen does a lot of rising. And some team, it doesn't have to be every team. Maybe just like Kene, it has to be one team that really likes you or whatever. And maybe a team like Green Bay, maybe they don't take Charlie early on, but they say, you know what? Chase is sitting back there. Charlie's gone already, but Chase is sitting right there. And he tested out and he showed out every bit as good as Charlie was on our pro days.
Yeah, Levi, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the exact same thing. There's so much that goes into it. I mean, he's got to, he's not going to get the volume that Charlie's going to.
Right.
But if he puts enough out there and shows enough, and then in addition to that, has a great pro day, like he's going to have a great pro day,
sure.
Then he could, increase his draft stock to potentially, getting drafted. But, he's got to do all the right things to get to that point.
Right.
And so I think if he does that, he can. But like you said, it's just going to be tough because he's going to be our number 2 tight end.
Sure. I can get on board with that. Who's up next, Aiden?
All right. Credit to you because I think you were the first one to kind of hop on the bandwagon. Xavier Hutchinson.
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this one because I think I was the first person on the Xavier Hutchinson bandwagon.
I think you did a recruiting profile on him.
I did. As soon as he committed, I did a recruiting profile on him, and I gave him a player comp of Justin Blackmon. And has proven for tape to be dead on. And I'm pretty proud of that. And I was on it right away. And I told everybody, like, you need to get on the Xavier Hutchinson bandwagon right away. He's an excellent college receiver. I think his 2021 season is really going to blow his 2020 season out of the water. I think he's going to be really, really good. Now, especially now, it took him a few games to kind of get up to speed, I think. And then we saw that after, especially the Oklahoma game, from there on, we saw him really take off. I think he's going to have a good 2021 season. This is a guy I do think, though, if he has a good 2021 season, depending on what he hears back from other people, this is a guy that I could see coming back to get more tape. I could see him coming back. But if he doesn't, it'll partially depend on his 2021 season, but it'll also because he's a receiver, it will heavily depend on what his testing numbers look like at pro day. Just like about every position, other than, I don't know, maybe linemen is the only one I can think of that where the testing numbers really, they can't help, but they don't necessarily hurt you a ton. If he has a good season and runs somewhere in the 4.4s and his tape is full of good, solid route running, I mean, that's what you need. I mean, Odell Beckham only ran like a 4.41. I mean, he didn't even crack 4.4, and but his thing is he's got really good hands. He's a really good route runner. That's Odell Beckham's thing. There's no reason that Xavier Hutchinson can't get drafted on that same profile, because the NFL, they like speed right now because they like, they see Tyreek Hill just blowing past people. They like speed, but in the end, route running and hands are the two skills that have transcended time in the NFL. The best receivers you can think of are all, Jerry Rice. Obviously Terrell Owens, Randy Moss were all unbelievable route runners. If you can run really crisp routes and you can catch the ball, you will find a job in the NFL.
He's Allen 100%. Robinson.
Allen Robinson's that's a good comp. As far as a college receiver, I stand by my Justin Blackmon comparison. I love that. I'm going to stick with it. But he can be that kind of player too, where he's just a good all around receiver. Is he a burner? Yeah. No, but he's fast enough. We saw it in the Oklahoma game when he caught that slant. He just took off. Nobody was catching up to him.
Here's a comp right here, a mix between Hakeem Butler and Allen Lazard. I think so. Allen has the running, or the route running,
yep.
and the hands. Hakeem, dropped a few passes, but I think his tangibles, his athleticism was probably a little bit more than Allen, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
when he got to stride out, there wasn't a lot of people that were catching him in a foot race.
No, not at all. So I think if he can put those two together, I mean, it all depends. I mean, he had a good season last year. He put up good numbers, and so I think if he can repeat that and then some, I think he's the 5th round guy. If he, if he does all the right things on the field, like I said, it always comes down to what you put on film. But if you can run good routes, prove that you can catch the ball, because you could be the most athletic guy in the world, and catching the ball is one of those things that you can, for the most part, you can do it or you can't, right? And
look at like John Ross. He set the NFL draft, or he set the combine record for the 40, or like a 4.21 or something like that. The dude can't catch a cold, and he hasn't stuck around at all.
Yeah. So, and another thing too is I think this can be important for him is on film. Obviously routes and getting off coverage and doing that sort of thing, and we know he's fast. He can do all that, but another, I think, for his size and kind of his position is going to be the contested catches. Can you go up and catch a ball over a corner, over a safety, and do that sort of thing?
Somebody on a tugboat?
Yeah, that was outside of Maple.
Fucking Thomas the Train coming in here.
Yeah,
we see Aiden bobbing up and down on the way. But yeah, I think Josh is probably in the ballpark. If Xavier has a good season this year, has solid pro day or whatever, I think he's probably in that 4th, 5th round. I think if he does that, if he has a good, not excellent season this fall, I think it would be very wise of him to come back. Receivers can play for a long time. It's not like a running back where if you can go, you go, or whatever. Yeah. Receivers can play for a long time. It's worthwhile to get an extra year of tape, I think.
And I think another thing on that is looking at the other receivers in the draft, right? Like when you're coming out, how did the rest of the receivers do?
Right.
Compare yourselves to them and say, hey,
how deep is the class?
It's a weak class. Let's do it, and then if it's a strong class, well, I have a better shot.
Maybe hang back. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's going to play a role too. And
sure.
Not only in whether he comes back or not, but where he ends up in the draft.
The great thing with Xavier too is that his film last year is good. It's good film. And he doesn't really have much of maybe the first game or two where he was his route running was still he's still coming up to the speed of the Big 12 game, but especially once you get into conference play, he doesn't really have much bad tape. He's got I'm sure there's probably some hidden plays here and there where maybe a route wasn't super crisp or something like that because he was on the backside of the play or whatever it is. But for the most part, he pretty much only had good games down the stretch, and he's got a lot of good tape already. He can have more good tape this fall, which will give the option if Josh says where if the class is weak, maybe it makes sense to come out. If he thinks that the following season is going to drop off, then there's really not a big downside to just coming back, playing another season, getting more tape, maybe whatever, see what the team looks like, maybe come back for a repeat of the Big 12 championship or whatever, and seeing what else you can do from there. But what about you, Matthias?
I'm really hoping he's not leading the team by over 20 receptions in that regard, because he had 64 catches. Charlie Corley had 44. That was the next closest. No offense. I mean, that was that's great. He got the ball.
Sure,
it worked out, but
you don't necessarily need the volume, but you need the efficiency.
I think that
yards per catch type of
that
thing.
plays a little bit more into the Brock Purdy eyes, looking at receivers more so than anything. No,
sure.
not a knock on Xavier by any means. He got the passes, so kudos to him. Good job. Yep. So I'm not quite sure if that production will be there quite yet, but I don't think that's going to keep him necessarily from getting drafted by any means. I mean, you can look at some of the receivers in the later rounds getting drafted. They probably had that, I don't know, 30 to 50 catches, and it seemed worked out all right. So, but I mean, if you're even drafted in the 5th round of the NFL draft as a wide receiver, you're probably going to get playing time. I mean, you can look at like guys like Darnell Mooney for the Bears. You know, he's a starting wide receiver in the NFL, and he's very capable. I mean, Adam Thielen, he wasn't even drafted. I mean, he worked out. Allen Lazard, not even drafted. It's working out. I mean, there's plenty of guys that get drafted way late in the NFL draft at wide receiver, and they find the field. I mean, a lot of them will play special teams too, but I think Xavier Hutchinson is much better than a special teams player in the NFL. So,
sure.
You know, I would almost classify him as the guy that's going to come back and not hurt his draft stock by coming back. So, yeah, I don't know if he leaves 5th, 6th round. If he comes back, move on, you know, third to 6th round too, kind of thing. And when he comes back out the draft again, so. But I hope Brock Purdy's eyes are moving around, and some of these, you know, like Tariq Milton's healthy. That'll probably help that.
It'll take a lot of pressure off of him.
You know, maybe Joe Skates gets his head on straight, and then he can actually stay on the field. You know, hopefully that opens up a little bit more, and you know, production spread around.
Yeah. Who's up next, Aiden? We're trying to keep moving so people aren't here for 3 hours.
Right.
we got 3 more. We're not gonna get to everybody.
No.
We'll go to the quarterback of the defense, Mike Rose.
So I got this because so there's I can't think of his name, but this guy plays very similar to Mike Rose, and he was I've been thinking about this, but just seems like it's going to work. Mike Rose, probably 3rd round pick. And I think Iowa State's going to own like the 3rd round. I don't know, for whatever reason, like Iowa
possible.
I don't know if that's like something to brag about. Like Iowa State owns the 3rd round, whatever. If it happens, it happens. Sure. You know, we'll take it, whatever.
Third round though, is where like there's a lot of guys in the NFL that are in the 3rd round.
Yeah. So it's fine. It's fine. You know, we get a bunch of guys drafted it. You know,
sure.
Nobody's going to remember that or what round. But yeah, Mike Rose, you know, obviously a great player, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, all over the field. You know, he's built like a middle linebacker. It
wouldn't surprise me if he moves to middle linebacker.
Yeah, and I think long term wise, I think he'd probably be a better middle linebacker than playing in the outside.
Well, I mean, look at what he did his freshman year when he was playing a middle linebacker,
right.
And then he like his transition sophomore year as the outside, he was kind of there. He's kind of figured out as a junior.
I think he's a better middle linebacker.
I would agree. I think he's playing out in space, basically.
But if the NFL sees him as a guy that could play out in space at the linebacker position, he's probably got to slim down and get a little bit faster, which
sure.
Not necessarily out of the realm of possibility for him because he's not like he's obese. He's not an obese.
He's got a pretty flexible frame. Where he started college at 215, he's up to like 245 now. I mean, he can probably move around weight a little bit as needed.
Right. And so like if let's say he gets drafted as a middle linebacker, like I almost envision him like a Roquan Smith. Yeah. Not far off. Roquan Smith plays all over the field. He can intercept. He intercepts passes. Mike Rose intercepts passes. Yeah, I mean he's not like a first round drafted guy like Roquan Smith is, but I mean,
you know who he is?
He's a tackling machine.
He's AJ Klein. He's a tackling machine that's good in space. AJ Klein's going on what? I don't know. He's going on what, 8 years in the NFL now.
AJ Klein has started plenty of games in the NFL.
He's played a lot of games in the NFL
and he's
really good
defense games in the NFL.
So I don't see Mike Rose as a first round pick because he's like to be a first round pick as a linebacker, you got to be either like. I mean, you got to be like the Butkus or not Butkus, but like the Benerick Award winner, and you've got to be like a freak athlete. I mean,
freaking Brian Urlacher out here.
I mean, you got to be like
Ray Lewis.
Yeah, or like a
minus the murdering
like
part.
Luke Kuechly. Like you have to be like an unbelievable linebacker to be in the first round. Just because there's usually quite a few in the draft. But I mean. Third round seems really good, like a really good spot.
Yeah, but whoever gets him at the third round is going to get a guy that's going to be like.
I mean, right? Mike Rose, they'll get him in the third round, and he'll be their middle linebacker for 10 years.
Yeah,
I mean that's what they're going to get. They're going to get a long time starter in the third round.
So, you compared him to AJ. Do you remember what round AJ went in?
I think he went in the 4th round, right?
I believe yes, but I believe so.
I think he went in the 4th round.
It was. I think it was fourth or fifth.
I think it was the fourth round of the Panthers, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And so, with that being said, so I'm a little biased when it comes to linebackers here.
You played with AJ, yeah.
AJ was my roommate my freshman year. I played with him for 4 years. Same thing with Jake Knott, and in my opinion, those are the couple of the greatest linebackers that played at Iowa State.
Sure.
And so AJ was a fourth round guy and was amazing, and Jake went undrafted and was also amazing. And so, with that being said, like I said, I think there's just a lot that goes into it outside of Mike's control here. It's going to come down to the other linebackers in the draft, and being from Iowa State, like I said, we just have that. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, you should be maybe a third round guy. We'll push you to the fourth or fifth.
Sure.
And so, with that said, I'll put him in the fourth or fifth. Just like I said, compare him to AJ, and I know he's a great linebacker, but playing with those guys and just knowing their work ethic and what they did during their pro day. And
Mike Rose has some recognition that those guys didn't get. Mike Rose is a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year award.
So is AJ Klein.
Yeah.
AJ Defensive Player of the Year?
He was co-defensive player of the year.
Really?
Big 12, yep.
No kidding. Well, anyways.
How dare you minimize him?
Right. I'm telling you, like those guys were
good.
Studs. Those guys were studs.
Yeah, and his testing numbers might help out a little bit. To me, third to fifth round feels right, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure AJ won it.
I mean, AJ was probably underdrafted.
It might have been his junior year.
Mike Rose's game fits the modern NFL really.
Your guys' junior year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he fits on.
It is different too. You're right.
He fits on basically every defense. I mean, there's a reason that AJ Klein was like fine for his first season in the NFL, but now he's a genuinely good linebacker for the Bills.
Yeah,
2011.
They play really, really same. They're really, really similar. And AJ's game fits defenses in the NFL a lot better now than maybe it did when he first came out. So for that reason, I think Mike Rose fits really well with modern defenses.
Yeah, you gotta realize though, not to AJ Klein's fault, he was drafted at the same position behind fucking Luke
Kuechly. Yeah, that's fair. That's
totally literally the probably top 5 greatest linebacker.
Well, speaking of the devil, soon, Josh, you're gonna have to get a hold of AJ there so we can get him on the show sometime. I'm
sure we can handle that.
If you can get Steele, you can get anyone.
If he can get Steele, he can get anyone. Josh, it's Josh is our one man detective crew here. But anyways, who's up after Mike Rose?
All right, this one. I mean, there was a mock draft. I'll put it up on the screen. A lot of excitement around him.
Yeah.
Will McDonald.
So this guy. Josh, you want to go first?
RJ Young, friend of the program.
RJ Young, I've got thoughts on RJ Young, but we'll talk about him in a second. Josh, you got what's your take on Will McDonald?
I mean, so he, what did he set the single season record for sacks last year, and
he like blew it away too.
Right. Close. And so, I mean, all the intangibles there. I mean, I think it's going to come down to, having a similar season, and if he can do that, I mean, first or second round, and also, I guess we don't know any of these guys personally, but when it's going to come down to character on a pro day. There's so much that goes into it, especially when you're looking at first and second round. And, I think for him, if he can put up those numbers, do all the right things, have the backing from the coaching staff and the weight training staff, and, have all of that. I mean, they're really going to dig in for those first and second round. And if all those things, if you check all the boxes on that, and he has another, great season and can really, be a difference maker on the defensive line, I think he's a first or second round guy.
So Will McDonald's got a couple really good things going for him. One, he's at a position of incredible value in the NFL. The NFL wants every single good edge rusher they can find. They will dig high and low to find edge rushers for the NFL. I mean, after quarterback and left tackle, edge rusher is like the next most coveted position. And so he's at a position of value. His tape is top 10 pick worthy. His tape is incredible.
Yep.
He's got the tape. He's young. He's really young for what he did for his production level. He's really young. And he's at a position of value. And I really think that when his pro day comes, I think he's going to have a crazy pro day. It would not surprise me at all if Will McDonald runs in the 4.4s. If he does, I don't know, somewhere clear of 20 reps, it wouldn't surprise me anywhere.
Yep.
If he's got 38-inch vertical, none of that would even shock me. Like I would almost expect that Will McDonald runs in the 4.4s or 4.5s and has somewhere north of 35, 36 inches on his vertical. None of that would shock me. I think he's going to show out in his pro day. His tape is, like I said, is top 10 pick worthy. He's productive. He's young, position of value. The only thing that is working against Will McDonald is his weight. That is the only thing.
Nope.
He's played not necessarily, but he's for a long time. A lot of his college career, he's played 225, 230. Now he's up to like 235 or 240. Now he came into college at like 215. He was really small. I think now he's up to like 240 now, 245, which is good. That's a good size for a college edge rusher. And the NFL is starting to buy in more on the somewhat lighter on the quicker edge rushers. So I think he's got the size, and he can I think he can probably put on a little bit of weight. He can stay where he's at. And like you said, if he can maintain his production through this season, because he's going to get, because Jaquan Bailey's not there anymore. Now, granted, they basically split time. He was on the field all the time anyways. So it's not like he was a true backup. I mean, he's never started a game in his career, and he's one good season away from being the all-time sack leader. I mean, he's incredibly productive. So like his snap level isn't going to change very much. Maybe people are more focused on, because they were focused on Jaquan, and maybe now they've just given more attention to Will. So if he still remains productive while being kind of the center point, the focal piece as far as the pass rush unit goes from the opposing offensive standpoint, if he remains productive, RJ Young has probably found his ceiling. That's probably his ceiling is right there as defensive end 2 behind Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, unless Kayvon Thibodeau like just totally bottoms out this season, he sucks and tears his ACL or something like that, and falls completely down, and Will McDonald slides into the defensive end 1 status, then who knows? Then he could go anywhere, basically, maybe like as high as top 5. But assuming he stays in that the DN 2 or 3 area, first round is totally within his reach. I think he's plenty athletic for enough. His tape is incredible. I would be, if he has a good season, second round is his floor. I think he's every bit of second round, maybe mid first round. And I think RJ, if he has a really good season and a really good pro day, RJ Young's prediction isn't impossible. Yeah.
And I mean, look at the NFL teams today that have good pass rushers. I mean, they are game changers. Like if an NFL team can find a pass rusher and they know that they're going to be a game changer, like if he can prove that in his tape this year, then somebody's gonna take a shot at him and say, hey, this guy's a game changer. It's hard to find pass rushers like that, like the Watts of the world. And I just want to clear something up with the character thing. I don't know Will at all. I'm just saying, as far as
all reports are that Will is an outstanding human being. So
absolutely. And I'm just where I was going with that is in the first round. I mean, they're really looking at that, right? I mean, they're really diving in, and it's not necessarily a character thing. It's a more of a work ethic thing. Like how are you in the film room? How are you in the weight room? Are you are you doing all the things outside of just on the field? Because I've played with guys that had all the intangibles in the world, and could have been whatever draft picks, but just they didn't have that work ethic. They didn't put in the time in the film room, and it really hurt him. So I guess that's more where I was going with it, not necessarily character, but more work ethic.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought you were trying to disparage Will McDonald's character.
No, not at all. I had to clear that up.
But yeah, I mean, like we'll see what Matthias thinks. I mean, Will McDonald's an incredible prospect.
Leonard Floyd 2.0, man.
There you go.
That's it. Leonard Floyd had 10.5 sacks for the Rams last year. I mean, you put him on a defensive line with a guy like Aaron Donald, he's probably going to have 10.5 sacks. Will McDonald will. So,
but, I mean, put it this way: Will McDonald's tape right now, all his tape shows is that nobody can block him. Literally, nobody can block him unless you hold him. Go watch the Texas tape. Go watch the tape from the Texas game. The only times he wasn't in Sam Ehlinger's very close personal space or putting him on the ground was when somebody was holding him. He either gets a sack or you hold him. There is two outcomes. He's a two outcome pass rusher.
Now, Leonard Floyd has developed more into a pass rusher in the NFL than what he was at Georgia, but coming out of college into the NFL, presumably next year, Will McDonald is a better pass rusher going into the NFL than Leonard Floyd was being drafted by the Bears. So, right. But he fits. He's the same size as Leonard Floyd, literally the same position, same type of player. Will McDonald probably plays with better leverage, better moves off the edge, things like that than Leonard Floyd does. Because I think
he's
Leonard
super
Floyd
bendy. Like he goes right under.
How tall is Will McDonald?
Like 6'4".
Okay, so yeah, Leonard Floyd is 6'5". So I mean, they're literally the exact
same. He's prototypical size. He's an incredible athlete. He's got crazy tape. I mean, if he puts together a good 2022 or 2021 season, he should go and he'll be a first round pick.
Yeah. So I mean, if eventually, let's say he develops into his fifth season like Leonard Floyd did, and he's getting 10.5 sacks. Nah.
And the thing too is like, you can say, maybe eventually they'll want him to develop some sort of coverage skills, but like you can teach him that stuff later.
Well, let's say theoretically he ends up in Denver with Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio
they just slide him in there with Von Miller. Yeah, I mean,
Vic Fangio is not sending a defensive end in the coverage.
No.
Yep, I was just gonna say that. I mean, if you can go from here and go get the quarterback, like they'll have.
If you turn Will McDonald loose, there's a good chance he's going to put the quarterback on his ass. I mean,
100%. If you need a coverage guy, they'll put a coverage guy in. Sure. If you need a pass rusher, they have they'll put Will in and say, go get the quarterback.
Honestly, if let's say that he does get drafted by the Broncos and Vic Fangio doesn't somehow get fired, because I think the Broncos are kind of like on the up and up right now. They're just like a quarterback away. Really, but obviously you got to contend with the Chiefs. So, hey, pass rusher. Vic Fangio would be a really good one for him to land with, because he is
who's fast enough to get to Pat Mahomes?
Yeah, Will McDonald. Yeah. So Vic Fangio is like a defensive mastermind. He's very good at like utilizing defensive line, because when he was the defensive coordinator for the Bears and was defensive coordinator for the 49ers, he rarely ever really blitzed. He used his defensive linemen to get to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And those defenses from the 49ers to the Bears and now the Broncos, they all have great pass rushers. You add another one in, oh my God. Make me a Broncos fan and slap me twice.
All right. Who's up next, Aiden?
The last guy,
Breece Hall. The guy, Breece Hall.
The guy.
All right. I believe it is your turn to start, Matthias.
Yeah. Obviously, Cyclone fans, we all love Breece Hall. And everybody's like, yeah, God, he's going to win. Top 10 Heisman finalist. He's probably going to win the Doak Walker this year. Every accolade, because this is All-American last year, probably could get it again this year. The reality of the situation, though, is in the NFL, you do not get drafted as a running back in the first round. Obviously, Najee Harris and Etienne were drafted, and Breece Hall is probably just as good as those guys. So it's going to come down what we talked about earlier is the fit, right? Who at the end of the first round would need a running back in the first round? Breece Hall obviously is a first round talent level running back. Now what's that?
Real quick, did the Jaguars need a running back?
Travis Etienne just got drafted by them.
So. I mean, he's probably better than the guy that they had. I mean, Robinson at the Jaguars, he's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. Robinson was like one of the best running backs in the league last year.
So
they didn't need a running back.
So here's what I'm working up to though, and this is what I envision. So let's just assume Tampa Bay is going to make the playoffs, right? They're going to be at the end of the first round, more than likely. Leonard Fournette is on a 1-year deal. Tom, give me one more year. Tom Brady with Breece Hall. Let's roll.
And Tristan
I have some breaking news right now.
You have breaking news?
Tyrese Halliburton is out for the season.
Oh, what did he do with his knee? What did they come back with his knee?
No ligament damage, but he will likely miss the rest of the season.
That's, you know what? They weren't making the playoffs anyways, and
how many games are left? Not that many.
Probably like 8 or 9, if I had to guess.
Oh, it's fine. He didn't tear a ligament. That's what anybody.
Yeah, as long as he'll be, if no ligament damage, and basically be ready for.
That's fine. That's fine. Shut it down. Come back for next season. No problem.
That's still unfortunate, but yeah,
sure.
The important part of the ACL is still intact.
Yep. Aside from being able to come back right away, that's best case scenario.
Well, side note, we need a breaking news.
Yeah, we need a breaking news thing. Anyways, so Breece Hall. So where do you think he falls? Or actually, before we'll give our predictions there at the end. So because Breece Hall is an interesting case. He's got first round talent. Now I did look this up earlier because I was doing a little bit of research. A running back, and over the last 20 years, there's only been 2 years that a running back has not been taken in the first round. 2014 and 2015. It's either 13, 14, or 14.
There's
15.
probably like two guys
years.
drafted at the end of each first round kind of thing, but there's no guys drafted in like top 15.
Running back 1 always goes in the first round. Generally speaking, always. And right now, Breece Hall is running back 1, and assuming he basically does what he did last year, running back 1. But the entire key and the thing that Breece Hall has going for him too, he'll probably test out fairly well. Yeah. And I don't know if his 40 will be anything blazing fast because he's got more long speed, more power speed rather than quick twitch. But he'll have a good pro day. He'll probably put up really good strength numbers, like bench and stuff like that. I'm sure he'll probably put up good numbers for that. But
zero doubt that Breece Hall will not have a good NFL career. Zero doubt about that.
But anyways, he doesn't have a hole in his game. He can catch the ball. He can block. He can run between the tackles. He can run outside. He can do whatever you need. There is no hole in Breece Hall's game. The hole in Breece Hall's game, though, is that he plays running back. And he
at Iowa State.
I'm not even sure the Iowa State thing is a huge key here because everybody knows who Breece Hall is. Yeah. Everybody's got their eye on Breece Hall. He's not a hidden gem or anything. I mean, everybody knows who Breece Hall is. He's a national name. If you pay even remote attention to college football, you know who Breece Hall is. But he plays running back, and that's the problem. Like you said, fit is right there. The Bucks were right there. Someone brought up the Seahawks. That's not a bad option. They'll probably be further up in the draft than someone's going to take him. But
the Seahawks will have a little bit more needs than running back at that point since they didn't have very many draft picks this past year.
They need a lot of defense.
Maybe he go to Kansas City.
I was saying maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't work out.
What did well, I mean, if he even goes second round, he could end up in Kansas City. But what Kansas City give up for Orlando Brown?
Last year's first round pick, and then like a couple, and then like
a second or third or.
So they didn't give up a first next year.
They have a first round pick next year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't pan out, or they decide they want another thing, or they don't need, or maybe the defense is good next year and they don't need to take defense first round, Breece Hall could go to the Chiefs and Lord help everybody else. I don't know what. I mean,
as a Chiefs fan, I hope that happens.
But there's a lot of things that can happen, but like if Breece Hall is going to go in the first round, it's got to be just the right team has to need a running back. And
I'm saying Tampa Bay, man.
Tampa Bay, it certainly could happen. Tampa Bay could be right there, and that's when they take. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was taken with the last pick of the first round 2 years ago as running back 1, and that's where Breece Hall is probably going to end up. Now, Breece Hall is a more complete back than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but who knows if a team has decided that they need a running back in the first round. So for that reason, I have my doubts. But Josh, I don't know if you have anything to add before we kind of give our last little mock predictions for him.
No, I think we've pretty much touched on all of it. It's like you said, it's tough as a running back. You got to have a great season, and you got to hope that nobody else has a breakout season type of deal. And I don't know. I really hope he goes first, second round. It's just there's so many variables. It's going to come down to the tape this year and the pro day, just like we kind of said with everybody else. But if he does everything right, I think, like you said, he could be RB1 and go first round or second round. So that's kind of where
are we all pretty much kind of on board that if it's going to be first round, it has to be just the right team, but otherwise probably looking at second round.
You're looking at the very tail end of the first round for me, and then I would not be shocked at whatsoever.
Yeah,
somewhere in the second.
And I think we could all agree on this. And it's not a matter of him not deserving of that. It's a matter of the nature of the position, in the NFL. And
his position
if there's a team that
needs
needs, if a team needs a running back in the first round, they'll get him. But if they know that they can get him in the second or third, then they'll wait. It's just
he does seem like a guy though, where if a team says we want a running back, we want Breece, like we really want Breece, but we don't know if he's going to slide back to us in the second round, you could see someone trading up from the middle of the second round into the back end of the first round to grab him.
No doubt.
You can definitely see something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It'd be interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it seemed like we were all pretty much in agreement that Will McDonald's probably got the best shot of breaking Iowa State's first round streak.
Well, it's just because of the need of pass rusher by every team.
Sure.
It doesn't even matter if you have 3 Khalil Macks. If you can get a fourth one, I'm using a first round on it.
I'll use 4. I'll take a 4th Khalil Mack. That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. We do have one. Someone actually, Nathan Balkma did have a question that he actually was very generous enough to leave a tip for us on. How early will the tailgate lots be full for us, for you and I? As early as humanly possible. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, Jamie Pollard is planning on having this thing wide open. So
I mean, he's got the new stadium renovation. If from the COVID perspective, if it's socially acceptable, if it's even remotely socially acceptable, to have that thing full, he is cracking that sucker open as early as he can and shoving them in like sardines. That's what's gonna happen.
And I will be happily shoved.
And I will be right there. I don't even I'm fully vaccinated or whatever. And I'm ready to go. I'm gonna shove myself in there like a fish in a tiny can, and we're gonna watch some football. And I'm going to lose my damn mind at that first touchback. Oh.
As much as you've been talking about touchbacks lately, I don't hope this, but at the same time, I hope we don't have a touchback. That way, Rory Walling can make all the tackles, because his mom's been hanging out here watching us this evening.
That's true.
You see what I've done there?
So here's what happens is that Mevis kicks this thing to like 5 yards deep in the end zone. The kick returns like, screw it, first kick return of the season, let's take it out. And then Rory Walling wraps him at like the 10-yard line or something like that. I think that's what happens.
Shout out right there.
Hey Beth. Hey Beth. There you go.
Team no touchbacks for tackles for Rory. Hashtag tackles for Rory.
Team only tackles for Rory. All right. So I think I didn't see any other real questions. Yeah, a couple of little comment questions throughout there, but I didn't really see any other questions to answer for the end of the show. You guys got any final thoughts before we wrap her up for this week?
Hey, no.
Wait.
Hold on.
We forgot that. Aiden versus the 90s. All right. I forgot about that. Yes. I don't know why I forgot about that, but I did. All right. So Aiden versus the 90s. First up. Let's see here. I had a few of them set aside. I got to organize myself. I was caught off guard by getting ready to get out.
Forgetting?
Yeah, by forgetting.
First, you don't know what a draft is, then you almost forget the most important aspect of the show.
All right.
Right.
That's what the people have been waiting for.
This
is what they came for.
So, this expansion MLB franchise won the World Series within the first 5 years of existence in the early 1990s.
You got this, man.
Arizona Diamondbacks.
Wrong.
No. Tampa Bay Rays.
Wrong.
All of no. What? I don't even know.
I got this. Can I have this?
You suck at this, Aiden. Yes, you can
this?
have this, Matthias.
First of all, I want to say before I answer this, Steve Bartman can kick rocks, and it's the Marlins.
It is the Marlins.
That's right.
Marlins won it with Gary Sheffield, Mike Lowell, and a bunch of guys that eventually became really, really good players.
They shouldn't have even made their second World Series, but Steve Bartman happened.
Yep. The Marlins accidentally won 2 World Series within 10 years of becoming a franchise.
Accidentally.
As a Cubs fan, it still hurts me.
Well, you know.
I have been on the record of saying some very hateful things towards Steve Bartman, which I will just keep canned for now. The guy seems like a nice guy, but he was towards my anchor a lot of times. Damn it!
All right. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. James Cameron owns 2 of the highest grossing movies of all time. One of them was made in the 90s. One of them was made much more recently. Name the 2 movies.
It's not even a 90s question.
Sure it is. One of them is like the most 90s question.
I have no idea.
Titanic.
Titanic is one. That
Is it
correct.
really?
Titanic is one of them.
Is Transformers the other one?
No. It's Michael Bay.
No, it's Michael Bay.
Aiden, you gotta turn off your comments.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, Aiden, gotta get out of the comments. You freaking cheater.
I'm not in the comments.
Whatever.
Okay, well, Josh, who's the other one?
Well, I already seen it in the comments. So
Okay. Well, Aiden, you didn't see the comments. What's the second one?
He saw the comments. He's trying to act dumb now.
yeah,
He's trying to act dumb.
Immediately when Titanic came up,
5,
I don't know. Wait,
Four.
who's the guy again?
3, James Cameron. 2,
Michael Bay.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
1, Avatar.
Yeah, I would never guess that. That movie sucked. Why was it? Everyone else think it was
Okay,
good?
so that movie was one of the first ones I ever saw in 3D, and it was awesome in theaters. And then it just didn't age well.
Just think, Aiden, you got two more of them coming out. They have Avatar 2 and 3.
Yeah, Avatar
really?
2's been planned for like 6 or 7 years now.
2022 is now the release date.
It's like I think the original release date was like 2016, and now it just keeps getting pushed back. Just because James Cameron
I didn't realize
decided
there was
he decided needed to hop in a submarine and go to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Well, I think the first one took so long to even do, and now the second one's taking even longer, and they're planning a third one after 2 years after the second one released. That's not going to happen.
What a freaking waste of time.
I don't like it either, so I'm good. I'm good with that take.
Where does that go towards my percentage if we went 1 for 2 there?
We got one more. Don't worry.
You got
about
one more. You got
percentages
one
yet.
more.
You got one more in back.
No, I
left.
mean, do I get credit for that question? Because I got the 90s part right.
No.
You never touched the base.
Rigged.
All right.
tough crowd.
This
the
1994 punk album launched the career of one of the most successful punk bands of the 90s and 2000s and 2010s. And I'm trying to think if there's another quote I should throw in there.
Yes, you should throw more in there.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay. Here we go. This 1994 album really kickstarted the career of a famous punk band whose lead singer shares a last name with another famous Tour de France cyclist.
Yeah, that doesn't
Lance
really narrow
Armstrong.
down for me.
Who'd you say, Matthias?
Lance Armstrong.
You're on the right track.
Okay, so Barry Armstrong.
Barry? Who the hell's Barry Armstrong?
I don't know.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong.
Nope. Is it okay?
182.
You get 10 seconds. 10. Actually, I'm just gonna count it. So you got 10 seconds from right now.
Hey,
Scotty doesn't know.
5 seconds. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know.
Josh?
No idea.
All right. You guys all suck. The lead singer.
Marky Monk and the Funky Boy.
Okay, so the band is Green Day, which is led by Billy Joe Armstrong. The 1994 album, which really launched their career, is Dookie.
I didn't realize they were that old, I guess.
Yeah.
Green Day's hella old. Green Day's really old.
Didn't they come out in like the 80s originally?
Like 89 was like, or they had an album in 91. I think they had some
Really?
singles in 89. Like the Green Day's a lot older than you think they are.
Yeah, I'm learning something here today. Huh.
For reference, Dookie had Longview, Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, When I Come Around, and She on that album.
Slap me and wake me up when September ends.
Dookie is a great album. Thank you, Brad Black, for chiming in. Dookie is an amazing album. And it's like that was one of like these signature albums of the 90s.
Brad
There you go.
finally finished his planting the other day. He's a farmer.
Brad checking in.
So just to be clear, I went 1 for 3 today, right?
Oh,
Okay. I
Trying to check it
answered
in,
the
Sid.
part about the
Breece Hall
90s.
should go to the Chiefs.
I'm protesting this until I get a point. So I
What do
think that would
You're protesting the 90s movie?
yeah, because I got the
Here,
point for the
hold
90s movie, but I didn't get the 2000s one.
So here's what you've been comparing this average like to a baseball average, like 1 out of 3
Hey.
gets in the Hall of Fame.
Right,
You get
it
1
was-
out of 3. You get a 1 out of 3 with a hit by pitch. That's what you get.
Hayden,
I don't
do you
care.
know who for the Bartman catch or whatever? Do you know who the player was that was
Or is this a
interfered with?
Lou? Is that what it
Was
was?
this a
All right, all right, good.
I know some stuff.
I
I
wasn't
know some
sure.
stuff.
All right.
He was
There,
gonna
I went
catch.
for
How old would you have
4.
been?
2 for 4.
How
That
old would you have been?
that absolutely doesn't count because that game happened in 2003. So who cares?
Oh.
Yeah, I would have been 2.
First of all, how dare you speak of that year? And second of all, we were trying to forget it.
All right. I'm on Team Aiden gets a point for Titanic. Well, I don't give a shit, Brad, because I run this ship.
You heard the no, I run it.
Here, hold on. Let's go into review to see if Aiden gets a point.
No,
You do not.
He does not get a point.
After further review, he did not get the point.
After further review. All right. So we're gonna wrap her up for this week. So thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Josh, for joining us once again. Our producer.
Hey, hold on.
Wait,
hold on,
what am I forgetting
Hold-
now? We only
hold
have
on.
one regular segment.
Let me have a certain team that starts with a C, ends in an O, and has a cog in the middle is back, baby. Bears going to the Super Bowl. All right, wrap it up.
There's a back.